Hey guys, it's Michelle, and I'm here for another episode of Coaching from the Couch. It's been a little while since I've done this because I would have been showing up coaching from the hotel room. I was, or not the hotel room, the hospital room. I was in the hospital with my son. It was not a super fun time. I am so glad to be back home, but not only back home, but back home with a son who is healthy and we don't have any health scares. He's still overcoming mono, but we don't have any major health scares. So I'm so happy to be here. But Coaching from the Couch is designed to be an informal conversation amongst seriously driven women entrepreneurs. It is a production of Women Who Wow, and I am so excited to be here. Today, I want to talk about 2 ways to overcome limiting beliefs in business. The truth is, there are infinite tools that you could use to overcome limiting beliefs. Let's see. I was thinking of AAIT, but I can't think of what it stands for. I know it's advanced something in integration training, acceptance and integration training. So AAIT. There is hypnosis. There is the what's it called? The tapping. There are, there's NLP, there's all sorts of different tools that you can use to overcome limiting beliefs in your business. But what I have found, hey Joan, what I have found is that there are 2 primary ways that we can deal with limiting beliefs. And one is far more effective and faster than the other. However, I spent a long time just kind of trying to use this first strategy to overcome my own limiting beliefs, specifically about business, about money, about wealth, about what it meant to be someone who makes a lot of money, what it meant to be a woman who makes a lot of money, what it meant to be a mother who is actively engaged in a career. So I had a lot of limiting beliefs regarding that. And so I do have quite a bit of experience here, but the slow way to overcome limiting beliefs is simply to try to starve them, right? And that's a slow way. It's effective over time if you're really deliberate about it. But if you're trying to starve your limiting beliefs, you essentially kind of rebound from them. You don't give them, quote unquote, the time of day. You're not watering them. You're not ruminating over the limiting belief. Hey, Sunday, I love the pictures of your baby girl. She is just gorgeous. So I am glad you found the time to join me live, right? Because I know what it is to be a mother of a young infant when you have an older kid in the house. So congratulations to you. And also, she's just beautiful. So overcoming limiting beliefs. So the first one is starving the limiting belief, just kind of acting as if it's not there, not watering it, not ruminating over it, not diving deep. It's like, do I have this belief because of XYZ that happened to me? Like really just starving it. The same way you would starve maybe a plant in your house. I don't do that deliberately, but it does sometimes happen. So, you're just going to starve that limiting belief of oxygen, really, right? You're not going to feed it. You're not going to ponder it. You're just going to literally train yourself to not stay there, to just kind of rebound from that thought, almost like Teflon, right? So like you have a Teflon pan, you kind of can, the egg or whatever just kind of rebounds off of it. The oil just kind of goes off of it. So if you're starving your limiting belief, that can be effective, but it can also be slow. Right? It can also be slow. These limiting beliefs, and like I said, I had a lot of them regarding being a woman, wife, mother, entrepreneur. I had a lot of those. And I found that it was like they were quite persistent if I was just kind of starving them. Like these things, I knew they would die eventually, and they did die eventually. But later on, as I reached new levels of success and therefore found new levels of my own kind of inner objections or inner work that I needed to do, I found that there's another way to overcome your limiting beliefs. And if you guys are here live with me and you want to talk about a specific limiting belief, put it in the comments below and we can certainly have a conversation about that. To give you an idea, some of my limiting beliefs were kind of the filthy rich kind of comment. I had a limiting belief that if I had a lot of money, if I made a lot of money, that I would have to be gone all the time, that I have to work all the time. Like I had this kind of thought that people who had a lot of money didn't have a lot of time, that I had to choose. And for many years, I found myself very proud of myself because I would say, and you guys might have heard me say, if I have to choose between time and money, I'll choose time every time. And I felt proud of myself for that. Like I wasn't some just greedy person who's going to sell her time with her kids and just not be the mother she wants to be and not be the wife she wants to be to make the almighty dollar. But it took me a long time to realize that that was just a belief and I never had to choose, right? Like the more evolved thing is I don't have to choose between time and money. I can absolutely have both and I can enjoy both. And so that's one of my own limiting beliefs. I've had limiting beliefs about weight loss. I've had limiting beliefs about what it means to be a good mother. I've had limiting beliefs about what I think people think of me, right? And I still kind of believe I'm an acquired taste. I think that's very true. In my experience, it's been true. But it also has gone deeper than that for me, and it's been a limiting belief for me that I've had to overcome certain aspects of. But if you have a specific limiting belief that you want to go talk about, we'll talk about that. Sunday says nobody will see me as a valid option in the market. Imposter syndrome, absolutely. Another one that goes along with this is I have to look a certain way, or my website has to look a certain way. I have to follow this like ABC Stepfordpreneur pattern in order to be taken seriously. And that's just not true. In fact, the leaders of most industries are the ones who come in there and they show up exactly as they are. Like Gary Vaynerchuk, he didn't, I don't know if anybody saw him at one of our events in New York, but like this is back in 2010. He was young, I was young. And, he didn't like show up like any other speaker. Like he wasn't wearing a suit, like he was wearing jeans, he was cussing. He's the first person I ever saw cuss from the stage. Like he was just going up there to be himself. And so when you think nobody can see me as a valid option in the market, like there's certain challenges, right? Like who determines who's valid, right? Like who are the people who just determine who's valid? As long as I'm valid to a small handful of people, comparatively, I can make a lot of money. I can make 7-8 figures in business with just a small portion of people who think I'm a valid option. And so one, it's like nobody will see me as a valid option. Like the first thing you can do with that is maybe challenge it. Like nobody? No, there are some people who I know have paid you as a valid option, so that's not true. And then as a valid option, who says who's valid, right? There's no like, it's not in the 10 Commandments, right? Like who's valid and who's not valid. And in fact, what I've found is that the less I look like everybody else, the better and more valid and more desirable of an option I become in the marketplace, right? People do not come to me for the dot my I's and cross my T's and let me, do the Stepfordpreneur march so everybody looks the same. Like people don't come to me for that, right? In fact, they come to me for exactly opposite. They come to me because they want to build a business that they love. They want to build a business that they are on fire about, that gets them out of bed every morning. They want to build a business that they are proud of, that they're able to express themselves through. In fact, the core mission, my core mission personally as a woman, is to help women become fully empowered, and that includes financially, right? Fully empowered and fully expressed, right? And fully expressed. And so women come to me for that. They are sick of the Stepfordpreneur march. They are sick of having to do a certain thing in order to feel or seem or be deemed valid in the marketplace. Validity really is one of those things we have to like, who determines that? So nobody will see me as a valid option in the market. I would encourage you to challenge that. There's evidence to the contrary. And the imposter syndrome, I think we all kind of have that. Like, I used to be worried, and sometimes I still do, like, what if people found out how, like, non-fancy I am, right? Like, what if people found out how simple I am? What if people found out how simple my lifestyle was, right? Like, a lot of people who do what I do are, traveling all the time. I could travel when I want. I cancel more I cancel more trips than I take, right? Like I buy more flights than I actually take. I just canceled a trip to California this week, actually, or I was supposed to leave on Sunday, Sunday. And so, you know, I've often felt like, man, what if people really find out like how small town I really am? And the truth is, it's what people like about me, right? It's what they appreciate about me. And it also, it lends to my validity, right? So it's like, God, if Michelle can do it, like she's non-technical, she's non-fancy, like if she can do it, I can do it. And it gives other women entrepreneurs the excitement and the passion to build a business that they're not going to be consumed by, right? That they're not going to have to always be on, right? I was so pleased over the last few days when my son was in the children's hospital, and it was a really scary time, but I didn't have a lot of stuff that and that which I did end up doing, I love doing, like writing to my members, the Entrepreneurial Espresso, or right now it's been transformed into Practice, Profit, and Purpose, but it'll go back to Entrepreneurial Espresso after this week. So the imposter syndrome is something that people write a lot about, but the truth is, how can you be an imposter if you are showing up ruthlessly and unapologetically you? If you're showing up ruthlessly and unapologetically you can certainly not be impostering anyone, right? So anyway, thank you for that. If anybody else has a limiting belief, we can talk through. I would love to talk through that with you. But I want to go on to on this call. So I want to go on to the next option, the second option for overcoming limiting beliefs in business, and that is to replace the limiting belief. And that is kind of a combination. And this is where I find I have the fastest rebound time, the fastest recovery time, the fastest freedom rate from limiting beliefs. It's when I replace it. It's when I am, when I replace it with, you know, I starve the old belief and I replace it with something else, right? So I replace it. I don't just put it out of my mind. I don't just starve it, but I'm like, when those limiting beliefs come up, I flip the script on them, right? So as an example, it's like, you can always choose time over money, you know, would be one. Like that was actually like, a mantra that I would say to myself when I was first growing my business, because back then I was so afraid. And this actually is a limiting belief that has come up for me over and over and over again in my own business. And every time I defeat it, I guess, every time I replace it, but sometimes it comes back up with new levels of success. These little niggling little like thoughts start to come back, and that thought is that business, when I wasn't really afraid of failure, I was afraid of succeeding at a rate that would overtake me. Right, that would have me feeling like I was caught up in a wave, and knocked down by one wave and tousled around, and then I get back up and I take a breath and I'm knocked down by another wave. And I was kind of really feeling that way. And my coach at the time said to me, Michelle, you're designing this success, like it's not going to overtake you. But in those days, I had a thought, I had this mantra, like I can always choose time over money. In other words, I'm in control of this. I can always choose time over money. And then I'm like, I have got to I'm always going to choose time. Okay, pat me on the back for being a good wife or mom, whatever. But it was such a limiting belief. And so I started to replace it. I don't have to choose between time and money. There is always an abundance of both, right? I would start to starve that one thought as it came back up. I would starve it, but I wouldn't just starve it and wait for it to die a slow, miserable death. I would starve it and I would replace it, right? So it was like an automatic replacement every single time that these thoughts came up for me. And so that's really the second and most effective way. If you have any limiting belief, the first step really is writing them down. Some people are hesitant to write down something negative, and it's like being hesitant to look under the bed when you're 5 to see if there's not a monster under there, right? You just got to write it down. And even if you're writing down is like, I choose not to believe blank, right? And I choose not to believe that I've got to choose time over money. I choose not to believe blah, 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 blah. And so, you write out your limiting beliefs, and then you're going to choose a really simple thought that you're going to it's going to roll trippingly off the tongue, a really simple thought to replace that limiting belief with. And that is really one of the fastest ways. And I also encourage you to use other tools. I have used hypnosis. I've used EFT. That's the tapping. I've used EFT. I've used a lot of different tools to overcome limiting beliefs. But at the core, what I found that works on a daily basis, on a forever basis, no matter what the limiting belief, whether it's about your body or your health or your marriage or your business or money or savings or future, whatever it is, then take the belief and then write it out. Create your own mantra, kind of your own like rebuttal belief, right? So when that thought comes up, you're going to recognize it. You've already written it down. You're going to recognize it in all its forms, and you know the words to use to kind of force it away. So I hope this helps you guys, and I am super excited to announce and introduce P School. P is in Profit School, and we will launch that in a few weeks. There will be 0 affiliates, 0 hype, and 0 money paid. It's going to be a free program. All of what a profit school should really be about. We're going to cover profit, meaning how you're selling what you're doing. We're going to cover packaging and pricing, because that is critical to making the money you want to make in your business. We're going to cover positioning, which is the most overlooked part of sales, is positioning. We're going to talk about daily practices, daily habits. We're going to talk about your purpose, how you weave that through. I don't care what business you're with. I don't care what company you're with. I don't care how small your business is or how large your business is. If it is not aligned with your purpose, then things are going to go slower than they should or they could for you. We are going to cover press or media. We are going to cover personality and pure authenticity, because here's what we do not want. We don't want to add to the Stepfordpreneur march that so many are doing. I'm going to dot my I, I'm going to cross my T, my website headline is going to look like this, the fonts I'm going to use are going to look like this, I'm taking my swipe copy, I'm taking my guarantee copy, I'm taking all this and I'm swiping it and I'm pretending it's my own. We're done with that, right? In fact, I think America's women entrepreneurs are done with that kind of thinking, that kind of leadership, that kind of, more steps to do in their business. I am super excited about P School. I will likely sell it at a future date. So I will be selling that, and I am excited to be offering it though for free now. I do not have a little enroll page yet, but I do have an idea for this, exactly what it's going to be. It's definitely going to be free. I want you to invite all of your friends. If you want to stay in touch, just make sure you like my Facebook page, facebook.com/womenwhowow, and you will not miss a thing. But I'll get a start date and an enroll page. You can enroll for 0 money down, 0 payments ever. The content's going to be yours forever, and it is going to be what is missing in a lot of business schools. This is Profit School, or Pippin School, whatever you want to call it. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.